So hi kids. I didn't get to math lesson yesterday and I realized that as I was going through it, I really wasn't liking the lessons. So I'm actually skipping 8.6 and moving to 8.7. And 8.7 is similar to what we've been doing, which is we are dividing numbers and we're thinking about numbers flexibly. Today, if we look at it, we are dividing a 4-digit number by a 2-digit number. So we're upping it a little bit, but we're going to be using the same techniques that we've done before. So if I look at this, I can see that I've got Isabel, what these little cards are saying is that Isabel in a 2-week period has earned $3,040. Wendell in a 4-week period is earning $5,204, and Luke in a 3-week period is earning $2,889. And what I want to know is how much would each of them earn in 1 week? So I would be dividing these numbers. So if I look at this, I'm going to be looking at, I'm going to be dividing 3,040 by 2. So what I start thinking about is how can I break apart these numbers so I can flexibly divide this. So this one is a pretty easy one. So the first thing I do is like, okay, I know I can divide 3,000 by 2 because it's an even number. And I also know I can divide 40 by 2. So I start thinking 2 times what is going to equal 3,000? Well, that would be 1,500. Okay, and then I think about 2 times what would equal 40? Well, that would be 20. So if I add these two together, I would get $1,520. And that equals how much Isabel would get in 1 week. So Isabel in 1 week would get 1,520. All right, let's look at Wendell. So what I would be doing is I would be dividing 5,204 by 4. And so this, at first I have to think about this and I have to think about how I would divide this up. Isabel's was a lot easier. Wendell, I've got to think a little bit more deeply. So the first thing I thought of is like, well, I can pull out 4,000 because I know that 4 would go into 4,000. And then how much is left? Well, I've got 1,204. Well, I know that 1,200 is divisible by 4 because 12 is divisible by 4. So again, I keep on thinking about what do I know about these numbers? And then I'm left with 4. Okay, well, I know that 4 is divisible by 4. So let's take a look at this. Again, I'd be thinking of 4 times what equals 4,000? Well, 4 times 1,000 equals 4,000. That's a pretty lousy 1,000. And then I start thinking 4 times what equals 1,200? Well, again, I know that 4 times 3 equals 12. Therefore, 4 times 30 would equal 120. And 4 times 300 would equal 1,200. And I've taught you guys before this that remember that our zeros have to equal. So if I have 2 zeros in my divisor, I need to have 2 in my quotient. Okay, so that's something that we have talked about before. And then I think about 4 times what equals 4? Well, 4 times 1 equals 4. So if I add these together, I would get 1,301 equals the amount that Wendell would pay for 1 week, or that he would get paid. Now, I'm going to tell you this last one. I had to definitely think about this one. This one this one at first I didn't see how to split it out. So again, this to me was the more interesting problem. I had to definitely think about how to break these up. So the first thing is I'm looking at 2,000, and I know that 3 doesn't go into 2,000 evenly. I know if I go out and I go 2,800, 3 doesn't go into 2,800. I also am thinking 3 doesn't go into 80. Now I do know that 3 goes into 9, but so I had to think really flexibly, how could I split apart this number? And then I realized it. I could do 2,700, okay? That was like where I started thinking about, oh, because I know that 3 times 9 equals 27. So I know that 3 will go into 2,700. So then I had to think about what was left over. And what was left over from, if I pull out 2,700, was 189. So then I went and I started splitting this number apart. And once I got to this part, I knew I had it. So I realized that I could then split out 189 into 180. Let me just erase this because let's try that again. Into 180 and 9. 180 and 9. So now I've split out 2,889 into 3 divisible parts divided by 3. So let's take a look at this. Like I said before, I know that 3 times 9 is 27. So that would mean that 3 times 900 would equal 2,700. I know that 3 times 6 equals 18, so that means 3 times 60 equals 180. And I know that 3 times 3 equals 9. So if I add all of these together, I get 963. And so that means that Luke, for 1 week, has earned $963. Okay, so that's basically what we're doing. We're taking 4-digit numbers and we are dividing them by a 1-digit number. So let's take a look at our journal entry. And I believe I got it right here. Yeah, okay. So Maya and her family want to rent a beachside condo for 1 week. The cost of the condo for 4 weeks is $5,236. How much will the condo cost for 1 week? So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be dividing this number, 5,236, by 4. So I've got 2 questions for you. I want to know how much will condo for 1 week cost, and will it cost more or less than $1,000? If you answer this, you're gonna have the answer to the second question. Okay, kids, so have fun with this. I've been enjoying seeing your math from those of you who've been submitting it to me. And those of you who are doing it, you're doing a great job, and you're just gonna be so ready for 5th grade. Okay, kids, that's all I got for our math today. Okay, see you in a little bit.